What is up, guys? My name is John Mercury, and welcome to the Tavern podcast, your one-stop shop for everything in the entertainment world. Oh, God. As always, we're joined by Atomic Lake.
Hi.
And welcoming back to the podcast, Lana.
Try to burp.
Into my mic. Thank you. So, as you heard, we are the Quiet Tavern Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything in the entertainment world. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can at fucking Wallets. You can follow us on Twitter at the Quiet Tavern.
Wallets?
And if you follow us individually on our accounts, they're out on your screen right now.
You just threw a wallet.
Just fucking Wallets. I don't know what happened. Lana thinks he's being cheeky over there. So, first off, end the show. Did you guys want? Yeah, you too. So what happened recently since we last recorded?
Fucking Nintendo.
Yeah. And?
They're gay.
And
So?
they're gay. No. They released some indie games that it was pretty much underwhelming, pretty much. And there's like not that much indie games that I recognize, but there's like only like 2 I recognize.
So like, we're talking like proper indie titles here.
Yes, like proper indie titles.
Okay. So speaking of indie,
Yeah.
here's the topic I want to talk about. We're gonna move into a little bit of our wrestling section here. So my brother-in-law and I got into a big discussion. I wanted this like a couple days ago. Can you have a good, proper roster without bringing in these big names from the independents? Can you home grow all your talent and still put on a good show?
Yeah, I guess.
What does that mean?
So, all right. So, the big names that are on WWE's roster right now, we'll use WWE for example here. Their big names that are picked up off the independent circuit would be like AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, and like down in NXT, you have the names that they're trying to. So trying to explain NXT to somebody is very weird.
It's like a beginner show.
It's developmental, yes. So the people who they bring, so they'll sign these independent names, right?
Yeah.
They'll bring them into their developmental system so they can learn the WWE style of doing things. And then after like a year or 2 years, they'll bring them up to the main roster where you see them on Raw and SmackDown. And I was trying to like explain to my brother-in-law here, he's very close-minded. He's about as big of a fan as I am, but he's very close-minded. He doesn't care for a lot of the independent names. I'm trying to persuade him or convince him that if we didn't have the independent circuit, you wouldn't have as varied performers and as varied talents as you would now. So, sorry, I had to get a drink of water there. So, and the big names that are still out on the independent circuit, your Will Ospreays, your Kenny Omegas, and there's like a plethora of names out there I can pluck. And the ones that they had just recently signed, Ricochet, EC3, people like that. They're bringing in these other talents from outside places to bolster their own roster, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So let's say that you're a promoter. You want to promote the best card, the best roster of any other company. So what do? You bring in these independent names, these free agents that aren't signed anywhere to bolster your own show.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was trying to explain that to him, like, you need that before, like, I'm all for the homegrown talent that they bring through their performance center down in Orlando. But you have to infuse that with these big marquee names. And then when you reach that perfect balance, you'll have the perfect roster.
But he doesn't believe that.
No. And that's... So, he didn't like watching NXT. Because I was watching it while I was down at their place on Wednesday. And he's like, what is this bullshit? And he says, I'm probably going to stop watching when, like when Cena and Orton, they retire, when the Shield, they retire and stuff like that. I'm like, well, that's why you watch these names come up, build that kind of connection there, so that way you'll always have someone somewhere that you can keep your eye on. So, like, my example was, so I started watching NXT back in, like, 2015. The first name I remember seeing there, or the one name that kind of clicked in my mind, because I heard it on, they were advertising some kind of show, and the one name that stuck in my mind was Finn Balor, who at the time was the current NXT champion. So I'm watching this. It was TakeOver Brooklyn, the first one. It was Finn Balor, Kevin Owens in a ladder match. And the one thing that caught my eye was Finn Balor as the Demon. Fucking gothic music. Like it's like what he comes out to now, but it's like extended intro version. Comes out with like literal like belts, like in like a wig type thing. He wears it on his head. Comes out like slinking down to the ring, and it's entrancing. Is the only way I can describe it. And then watching him wrestle both as regular Finn Balor and the Demon, there's a slight difference. Like the Demon is when he takes it to that next level. Like when you need to up your game just that little bit, there's the Demon. And he would bust it out for every. So the way that NXT works, they'll hold about 4 or 5 NXT takeover shows, as opposed to 12 main roster pay-per-views. So, and these shows were about, so they'd have one in January, and then one in April before WrestleMania. They'll have one in June before Money in the Bank, one before SummerSlam in August, and then one before Survivor Series in November. So that's 5 shows a year, roughly. And he'd bust out this Demon only for these takeover shows. And I don't know, it's like that special thing where you want to see something cool. There you go. You see it often enough for it to be familiar, but not too often so it gets too familiar. If that makes any sense.
It's like where these people develop their characters, and
right.
Once the bigger names in the WWE, the main WWE, retire, then you're like, oh, I know that guy.
Right.
From NXT.
So it's like, for example, when Shinsuke Nakamura came in, I knew nothing of this guy other than his name and what his finisher was. That's it. And like a few snippets from his match against AJ Styles at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 10. So I knew nothing besides this guy's name, what his finisher was, and like 2 clips. And I see this guy coming out, he's a very charismatic soul. So he comes out, he's like doing his entrance and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, I can get behind this. Watching him compete, I'm like, all right, I can get behind this even more. And when he came up to the main roster after last year's WrestleMania, I'm like, oh my god, he's here. And now he's one of the marquee names of the SmackDown roster, I'd say. All right, so moving on besides that, there were a couple things of news that I wanted to get out of the way before we continue on with the rest of the show. So, NXT TakeOver New Orleans happens, at the time we're recording this, it happens next Saturday night, April 7th. When the whole wrestling world will converge in one place. And they added 2 more matches to their card. It's a 5-match card. So you have your NXT Championship match, Andrade Cien Almas as the champion, Aleister Black the challenger. Your NXT Women's Championship match, Ember Moon the champion, the challenger, Shayna Baszler. Your NXT Tag Title match, which I'm not going to spoil because they haven't gotten that far yet. And then they've added 2 more matches. The NXT North American Championship. Now, I don't know what this thing looks like. I just know that it exists. And they're having a 6-man ladder match. It's going to be Adam Cole versus Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan versus the Velveteen Dream versus new NXT signees EC3 and Ricochet. Now, this is very interesting because of the way that they've got these 2 new names coming up, right? So Ricochet is known as one of the best if you could say cruiserweights in the world. If you Google Ricochet versus Will Ospreay, I think it's New Japan's Best of the Super Juniors. Oh my god, it is like, if you think that wrestling is very overly choreographed,
Japanese wrestling is more.
not just Japanese wrestling, but actually that's very more hard hitting. Like if you look at my computer case here, the Strong Style sticker. Nakamura is like
he has a couple of stickers right here. One of them says that my comedy channel is Fox News and
my news channel is Comedy Central.
It's Comedy Central.
Yeah. So what Strong Style is, it's wrestling that really fucking hurts. Like it is overly physical, very hard hitting, very gruesome.
Yeah.
So. And like these guys, Ospreay and Ricochet, neither of them are Japanese. Ospreay's from like Essex, England, and I don't know where Ricochet's from, but I think it's in the States. And these guys are going they're going hit for hit, like matching hits, like everything's clashing. And from a visual perspective, it's mind blowing. And that caused the biggest fucking flurry on social media that I've seen in a while. Whether it's too choreographed or no, it was just fine. And it was like the old school wrestlers saying that, it was too overly choreographed and, the old people that are so stuck in their ways. And the newer generation saying that was the most physically attracting, physically appealing match I've seen in a while. And then EC3 was a big name in Impact Wrestling, where that's so in the States, you've got three big promotions. You got WWE, you've got Impact, and you have Ring of Honor. Impact is WWE's probably biggest competition here stateside.
Yeah. Isn't Impact like the old TNA or whatever?
Yeah, so TNA
that's how I got into wrestling is TNA.
I feel so bad for you. So TNA became Impact.
Remember that Twitch stream I showed you?
Oh my god,
it had wrestling. It was you said no, I didn't like it.
I know.
I thought you'd like it because
it was alright. So it was one. There was the one match I liked. It was OVE versus LAX in the fucking barbed wire match. That was cool. Everything else could go suck a dick.
But yeah, no. I know we're kind of diversion from this original conversation, but this is just go on and on.
The ladder match.
Yeah.
So titles above the ring. First person to climb the ladder gets it, becomes the new champion, and then there's this other match. So Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in an unsanctioned match. Now I hear you asking, what makes this match unsanctioned? For one reason. Gargano is no longer an NXT superstar wrestler.
That was a speaker.
Right.
You hear that?
Fucking speaker. So if Gargano wins, he will be reinstated into the NXT roster. If he loses, Johnny Gargano is banned from NXT.
Damn.
Totally. So, and here's where this kind of makes it a bit tricky to figure out who's going to win or not. Because here's how I see it. Gargano wins. He's in NXT probably until, we'll say, SummerSlam. He'll come up after SummerSlam. Or he loses and comes up after WrestleMania.
Shit.
Now, personally, I would have Gargano win. Because that will allow him and Ciampa to feud for a bit longer. Because those two were former tag team partners and former tag team champions.
Yes. Well, to think about it from a show side perspective, like an executive, like actual executives, not the Showtime executive.
Yeah.
It's from
creative's standpoint.
They would keep going on.
You'd think they would keep the story going on. Because
But is the story losing interest?
Well, here's the thing. So Gargano and Ciampa's team, they're known as DIY. So they were the NXT Tag Team Champions around TakeOver Toronto, which was November 2016. That's when they finally become the Tag Team Champions. They dropped the titles at NXT TakeOver San Antonio, the next TakeOver show before the Rumble, in January. Now they get their rematch at TakeOver Chicago back in June before Backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at TakeOver Chicago, Ciampa turns on Gargano. So, like, they're at the top of the entrance ramp, and they're sitting there, kind of holding each other. You see the copyright thing down in the corner. Ciampa looks at Gargano, nods, swings him into the LED board, beats on him some more, puts him through the announce table, puts him through another table. Because Ciampa reportedly suffered from I think it was like a knee injury. Yeah, it was a knee injury. And his whole rationale was, you guys don't care about me. As soon as I was announced injured, you were willing to replace me with everyone and anyone. So if I'm going away for a long time, I'm making sure that Johnny Wrestling's going away for a long, long time. Gargano comes back, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks later. Goes on a little bit of a singles run. Becomes number one contender for the NXT Championship. We watched this one, TakeOver Philadelphia. And Ciampa comes out at the end of the match. Gargano had lost. Swings him, hits him with his crutch. And
I saw that.
And he's sitting there kind of like emotionless. And then he costs him one more opportunity. It was NXT title versus NXT career. Now, the referee was knocked down. Gargano has him in his Gargano escape submission hold. It's kind of weird. It's like, I'm not going to describe it, but he hits him with the crutch again. Ref can't see it, or the ref does not see it, so it's not disqualified. Almas hits him with a DDT of some kind. Gargano loses that match, so it means he is no longer an NXT superstar. And the way they built this feud up was Ciampa would try coming out each week after that to try to cut a promo, but the crowd was not having it. They would boo him legitimately out of the building each time, and it was fantastic. So the way they built this feud up was a couple of weeks ago, I want to say. Ciampa was again out there trying to cut a promo. He leaves again. Starts tearing up the signs they have in the crowd because they're all Johnny Gargano signs. Gets to one in the corner. I would say, so if the ring's behind me and I'm looking up at the ramp, it was to the left-hand side. There's a big sign. He takes it. It's a guy behind wearing a hood. Flips it up. It's Gargano. So he jumps the barricade. Bam, 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 bam. Security drags him away. And over the next week, Gargano would jump Ciampa in the parking lot, at his house at 3 in the morning. Well, because they're using social media to build up this feud now, because you can't fit it onto to a 1 hour show.
Mm-hmm.
And so, on this past episode of NXT, it was made official. Gargano, Ciampa, unsanctioned match, which I believe it is, because it's not sanctioned by WWE, I assume that means anything goes. Don't quote me on this because I'm not fully sure. But, if Gargano was to lose, he would probably just end up going up to 205 Live after Mania. But I would want him to win. Be reinstated into NXT. Let those two go at it for like another couple of months. Feud to, we'll say, take over to Brooklyn, we'll say. So that's down in August. So they could have a match at TakeOver Chicago, and then at Brooklyn, and that could be where the feud blows off. Send Gargano and Ciampa up, or send one of them up after that, and that could be that.
Yeah.
So that's all the wrestling news I've got. Moving on. So now what?
All right. Where would you guys go? What's your bucket list?
Oh, my bucket list for where I want to travel to?
Yeah, where you guys want to travel to? What are 3 places you want to travel to?
Well, confirmed on my bucket list. An awesome segue real quick. I'll go back to your topic in a little bit. Indianapolis, okay. Indiana. If you're going to be in the Indianapolis area June 8th through the 10th at Indy PopCon at the Indianapolis Convention Center, you can meet the Quiet Tavern. I know. Save your applause.
Not me.
Maybe. Not Juana, but...
Maybe.
We'll see. But Atomic and I are for sure going to be there. So if you guys want to come out to us, say hi, we'll shake your hands, get a few pictures in. We're chill.
Whatever.
Yeah. I'll punch you if I go.
Get arrested.
Yeah, I'd rather not have to post bail in Indianapolis. Just I don't know. I'm just saying personally, I wouldn't want to have to post your
But
bail.
anyway,
Anyway,
where would you guys go? Like 3 different countries.
Okay, so 3 countries.
3 countries. Where would you go?
well, I'll let Charles go first.
Okay, so my bucket list would be, I'd want to go to, I would say France. So we'll say Paris, France, London, England, and Tokyo.
Tokyo.
I want to go to Tokyo, Japan. So
And why?
okay, so Paris. So Paris and London are for the sightseeing. Tokyo. I personally want to step foot inside the illustrious and the cavernous Tokyo Dome.
Tokyo Dome.
That is where. That's like the. I don't know. I would want to go to a New Japan show, to be honest. I don't know what the next show is coming up. I believe it is Sakura Genesis. I forget. I don't know when it is, but I would want to go to a New Japan show, just for the experience. And so in Paris, you know, you had to go to the Eiffel Tower, the art museum. In London, I would want to go see the Eiffel Tower, Big Ben. No, I'm not in fucking Paris. What the fuck am I? I want to see the clock tower.
The clock tower.
Is there like some giant ass Ferris wheel there too? Or am I again on a
Big
pipe
Ben
dream here?
Ferris.
Oh hey, where did he go in London? Oh, you know, I went to the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I know. I'm not thinking right now. I'm like off in my own little world right now. But moving on from me, Atomic, where would you want to go?
First of all, I will go to Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
I would go to Russia and Ukraine, Chernobyl.
You want to go to Chernobyl?
Yeah, they have tours there. I always wanted to go there.
Well,
What about you?
I do have a bucket list of where I want to go. One of them would be Australia. Not Austria, where, you know, the worst
Austria.
fucking dictator was born. No, but Australia, because it's Australia, you know? Why not go?
But everything is censored there.
I'll make you censored if you keep talking shit.
I'll censor
boy.
you if you keep talking shit.
Okay, no, joke aside though, another place I would love to go would be Chernobyl as well, actually. It would be really interesting to see the wildlife has been doing in the last 30 years.
Oh, since the meltdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the 80s or something. Did it create in the 80s?
Let me see
Well,
what.
late
Let me do that
90s.
real quick.
No, not late 90s, late 80s. Probably early 90s.
Yeah, probably the late 80s, probably.
And my last place would be, it's actually a hard one to say.
It was 1986.
1986. Okay.
Mid 80s.
Yeah, so mid 80s.
Anyway,
31 direct deaths and 15 estimated indirect deaths up to 2011. So that's that.
Yeah, because Chernobyl is like a really amazing place. Like, there's all this like Soviet Union shit because the Soviet Union took over Ukraine, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's like propaganda, like on the walls, like saying like America is the demon and
in
all
Russian,
that shit.
obviously.
Really?
Yeah, and how and America will destroy the world.
It's funny. We had.
Anyway.
I don't think we had anything to do with Chernobyl happening, but
No, it's like.
No, it was propaganda.
I know it's propaganda,
It was
but
propaganda from the Soviet Union.
But anyway, my last place I would like to go, like, it's not a country, but it's still in a country, would be New York.
I agree. New York City was a fucking fantastic weekend.
Well, no, there's 2 places I would go.
Can I tell some
And
stories about New York?
Later.
Later.
Like,
All right. I'll
after
let you finish.
It would be, it's actually a cross between Los Angeles and New York.
Okay. So when we were in New York.
Stories.
Okay, so I was in New York my senior year for a choir trip. We were invited down to Carnegie Hall because we scored a certain score or higher in the Festival of Nations was held 2 years prior in New Orleans. I didn't go on that trip because I didn't have the money for it. But when it came time for this trip, I said, come hell or high water, I am going to New York. And sure enough, fundraising and GoFundMe later, I went to New York.
You got to go.
I got to go to New York, and like, it was legitimately the best weekend I think I've ever had. So, I think we're gone for like 5 days. And there's one small side I missed, which kind of sucked. I missed WrestleMania and I missed NXT TakeOver, but I got to watch those back later. But other than that, it was fantastic. Except, alright, one more con. I left my 2DS case on the bus. So I didn't have that the entire time we were in New
Moment
York.
of silence. Fuck it.
Did you get it back? Or
I got it back, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's sitting right over there.
Oh.
But, like, our bus went back to New Jersey for our whole stay. So, and I didn't realize I'd forgotten on the bus until, like, a day or so later. Because I was trying to find it. Anyway, so there were 2 places I wanted to go. Madison Square Garden and the Nintendo World Store.
Oh yeah, there's this Nintendo World.
Isn't
Store.
it now called this Nintendo
I think it's
New
called.
York?
I think it's called Nintendo New York because there's Nintendo New York,
Is it
Nintendo
like-
LA.
When there's like a direct, like do they have like a big screen, like a big TV there
They might. I don't know.
where everybody can go and watch.
That was one. I think so, but that was one more con. Was I didn't get to be in the Nintendo store for very long because we had to get moving with the sightseeing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was like 5 people in a group. But one thing I saw there that I will never forget was I saw in person the Game Boy that got caught in the Gulf War bombing.
Oh, wow.
It was surreal. Like, you look at it and you think there's no way this thing can still be running. But sure enough, it was running. It was playing Tetris.
Tetris.
And I'm like, oh my god, this is a piece of history. And I got 3 things there. I got 2 Amiibo. I got Dr. Mario and Mega Man. And I got a Charizard plushie that I keep sitting at home on top of my GameCube.
Yeah, he's pulling him out right now.
Yep. Mega Man.
And Mega Man and Charizard.
No, Mega Man and Dr. Mario.
Oh.
How did I hear Jimmy Bell?
I don't know either. But yeah, I got those 2 from the store. And I started training them. Because it's a 24-hour bus ride from Hayward to New York.
Yeah.
And we were going straight through it. We weren't stopping. So I had 24 hours on the bus to start training those two. Which wasn't hard. It wasn't really easy either because I was playing on my 3DS, or 2DS I should say. And then also while we were in New York, I met these 2 fantastic people. They were sitting ironically, they were to my left and my right for our performance in Carnegie Hall. And they were 2 of the nicest people I think I've ever met. Their names were Taylor and Fidel. Coolest 2 people I think I've ever met. They were so chill, and I thought so it was a girl and a guy, and I thought, my first thought was, I saw this guy, he was wearing a Star Labs hoodie, or sweatshirt, I'm like, yo, is that Cisco? Is that Cisco from The Flash?
Let's go for the Flash.
The only thing I also remember from New York, from the tweets, is the fork.
Oh, it was a knife.
Knife.
Gerard the Lonely Butter Knife was, alright, so here's that story real quick. So, that little knife was sitting in our rehearsal space for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took a picture of it.
Yeah, you took a picture of
And I
Gerard
posted it to
Malone.
Instagram and to Twitter. And the hotel's Twitter account responded to my tweet
Okay.
saying, thank God you found him. We've been looking all over for him. Where did you find Gerard? It's even funnier that they used the knife's name. They named him Gerard. And I forget, I think it's like America's Hall 2. I think it
America's
was
Hall
where it
2.
was.
I feel bad for you, Meg Man. You have to deal with this.
And fucking, oh. And then there's another day there. It was like in the middle of our stay. We went to go get lunch before rehearsal, and I didn't have to pay for it, so I'm like, score. It was a very good Italian restaurant. Double score. I shit thy not, 2 bowls of spinach ravioli, calamari, bread roll with olive oil, and 2.5 pieces of tiramisu. I have never eaten that much in a single sitting in my entire life. And it sucked for one reason. It was bad for one reason only. we had to walk back to the hotel, and we still had to rehearse. And also while we were there, one of the chaperones got me a jacket. Actually, it was really cool. It was like a light windbreaker. And it was really nice of them. So I didn't ask for it. They said, "All right, I'm gonna get you a jacket." So it's a black jacket. It was very cool, very comfortable, and I believe it's still sitting. It's still on. It's at home on my coat rack right now. I haven't busted it out since. Cause it's mainly like a winter or like a fall, early spring jacket, which we're not quite there just yet, but we're getting there.
And we have a special guest.
Yeah, Elias Pandy now enters the show.
Can't go that
Be
way.
careful with that. That's still
careful.
content.
Oh yeah,
here.
sorry.
Really?
Yeah, I'm here, and yeah, Charles. I mean, I think it's great what you're doing, this Quiet Tavern thing. It's something you like doing and something that gets your friends together. But I mean, like, okay, I came in here a little bit before when
You
he was
came in here a
talking.
little bit after we started recording. And yes, I asked you to leave because we were in the middle of recording. That was just mainly a courtesy thing. That was nothing against you. Trust me. I don't care if you come in here and do the show. But it was mainly we're in the middle of talking. We're in the middle of a topic. And that was just me saying, hey, can you give us some more time?
All right. I mean, I knew you were getting at that. It's just, I mean, I can't help but feel a little bit. What's the word? I mean,
Left out?
not left out. It's not that. It's just, I mean, you can do this whenever you want. It's just, I mean, you just shooing me away like that, it kind of makes me feel a little,
All right, I'll admit.
for lack of better words, I felt a little betrayed because, I mean, I do a lot of things for you. I mean,
Right, and if I can clear the air here, yes, I'll admit I could have handled that just a little bit more maturely than just doing this. But again, I was in the middle of talking, and I was in the middle of a topic, and I get that just me shooing you away was kind of a dick move to do, and I apologize for it, but
all right,
it was more.
Hey,
It was just a thing in passing. I wasn't really thinking. It was just.
hey, that's just what I wanted to hear from you, man.
No, it was not on purpose. It was just me in the moment, in like the swing of things, just saying, like if it was like if I had the opportunity to pause and say, hey, can you let us record for a bit longer, then I would have. But no, trust me, it is nothing against you.
All right,
Never think it's anything against you. It's nothing personal.
okay.
Okay, now you two kiss. Take your clothes off and fucking each other in the ass.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, it'd be great with you watching. Jack off.
Well, anyway, I think that's it.
Is that all we had for topics?
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of a short episode. Could we go for like another 15 or so minutes?
it's been like 33 minutes.
Yeah, it's been 33. I like to keep these things about.
This isn't even planned, so let's be honest.
Right.
It'd just be good to put something out.
I mean, I guess so. So, I guess I could say thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Quiet Time Podcast. It's a pleasure. Make sure you hit the like button, comment, and subscribe for more. You can follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter thing's on the screen. You can follow us on Twitter at The Quiet Tavern. I've been John Mercury, joined by Tom McClick and Juana.
And you can drop yourself, too.
You can follow us on Twitter at Pussy Lomane as of right now. And we will see you guys next time, whenever, however this thing fucking happens. I don't fucking know. Good night.